Welcome to another edition of the Gridiron Report. I'm Jared Johnson, and with this episode, I'm going to be giving my reaction to the news that Stephen Hamby will no longer be on the coaching staff, no longer serve as the offensive line coach at Texas Tech. News broke Monday afternoon. Actually, I think Don Williams was the first media journalist I saw report on it, at least publicly. He mentioned on Twitter that he had confirmed that Hamby was no longer on the staff and that Tech was looking for another coach. I know it had been bouncing around the message board, so I was unplugged and actually I was working out. I was walking and lifting, which I try and unplug when I do that and concentrate on what I'm doing. But needless to say, I was surprised that Hamby had been released. I had no prior warning of that happening, that Texas Tech decided to go another route and go with a new offensive line coach. And so, since then I've been talking with sources. I did confirm for myself with an official, Texas Tech, which I don't really consider a source, but just official word from Texas Tech that yes, confirming that Hamby's no longer with the program and that Tech was looking for a new coach. But basically, the timing of everything does not lead me to believe that there's any big drama or anything like that. In terms of the complete whys, based on my conversations I've had with very good sources, I don't think we're going to hear the exact whys. I think it's just clear that Texas Tech did want to go another direction. Hamby, of course, there's an emotional attachment with him having been a great player, great center on one of Tech's best offensive lines, on one of Tech's best teams ever back in the day, and just all that he has meant to the program. This is kind of we're used to this, right? We're used to seeing former players come in and then, nothing lasts forever, right? When they come in as coaches. So there is an emotional part of it, but on the other hand, the offensive line has not been good. That's not all Hamby's fault. The recruiting hasn't been good for some time, which we've detailed various times over the years. They've tried to patch things up through the portal with varying levels of success. But the bottom line is the offensive line had been good the last 2 years, and in talks with McGuire, both publicly and in behind the scenes, he has stated over and over and over again that improving on the offensive line is basically number one, is his top priority in terms of improving the team going forward. We have not really seen that the first 2 years at Texas Tech. I mean, you could say last year was marginally better than the year before, but offensive line has been a weak point of the team the first 2 seasons under Joey McGuire. It's almost like if you can fix that part of the roster and the program, Texas Tech could take that next step from winning 7 or 8 games to winning 9 or 10, having a truly special season for Texas Tech. So it makes sense they went another direction. A couple of questions I've had. Of course, people want to know who might possibly replace Stephen Hamby. I'll talk about 3 guys, and I've seen them mentioned on the message board on Inside the Red Raiders, and I think they're good names. But before that, I want to answer the question about potential recruiting impact of Stephen Hamby leaving. Based on everybody I've talked with, here's where I'm at. I don't see any major potential fallout from Hamby no longer being with the program in terms of recruiting. The offensive linemen are already signed. Some of them already on campus for the 2024 class. Moving forward in future classes, it's not to say that Hamby didn't have an impact on recruiting, because he did. But the relationships formed between the recruits and other coaches on staff are enough to not overtake that, but are enough to lessen the impact of Hamby leaving. Because anytime a coach leaves after establishing that relationship, specifically with his position group or recruits of being recruited to his position group, there's a potential for fallout. So it's a good question, but bottom line is I do not see much fallout at all in terms of recruiting from Hamby leaving. What stands out to me the most about the timing of all this happening is Zach Yinser also becoming available here just last week, being replaced at Kentucky. He was Kentucky's offensive line coach for a couple of years. He had been with the San Francisco 49ers as an offensive line coach. He had been at Kansas as well as an offensive line coach. It's worth noting that Kenny Perry, Texas Tech special teams coordinator and running back coach, also assistant head coach and very good friend of head coach Joey McGuire, basically one of his right-hand guys and confidants, coached with Yinser at Kansas. So all of that seems to align to think, watch out for Yinser to be the next offensive line coach. Current tight end coach at Texas Tech, Josh Cochran, is also another potential candidate. He's been an offensive line coach before. He was a very good offensive lineman himself at UT back in the day before injuries really curtailed his career. And then Clay McGuire at Washington State makes a lot of sense. I haven't really heard anybody mention his name in terms of like a source, but Texas Tech ties, very good coach. Obviously, he went, played at Tech, had a couple stints as coaching different positions at Texas Tech, and nothing but good things have been said about Clay McGuire. So he would be a nice fit as well. Those are my 3 initial names in terms of possible replacements for Stephen Hamby as Texas Tech's next offensive line coach. But for now, I want to thank you for watching, and until next time.